Merry meet everybody. It is your Friday hostess, Poe Moonstone, and you are watching Witches of the Moon. This week on the channel we are discussing divination, and so I'm just going to kind of jump right into it. There are many different types of divination. One of the more familiar, or I guess more mainstream or popular types of divination are using tarot cards and oracle cards. But I'm going to go over some of the different methods, probably not all of them because I'm sure there are far more than what I have listed, but I'm just going to go over some of the ones that I kind of know. So Cardomancy is the fortune telling using tarot cards, oracle cards, rune cards, playing cards, karma cards, medicine cards, etc. The difference between a oracle deck and a tarot deck is that a tarot deck traditionally has 78 cards broken into major and minor arcana. The major arcana consists of 22 of those 78 cards, and the minor arcana is 56 of those 78 cards. So, and not to mention that the minor arcana is broken into suits, 4 suits, wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. And of course they have their court cards that are, you know, connected with those suit cards as well. So as far as an oracle deck is concerned, their amount of cards really range. I've seen as little as 10 to 12 in an oracle deck, and I've seen as many as 300 in an oracle deck. So as far as card count, it really varies, and with traditional tarot, it's almost always going to be the 78 cards. So that's kind of the difference. Also, oracle cards usually aren't broken up into suits, although they can be. A lot of the times they really aren't, but they can be broken into major and minor arcana. I have seen that before. And I guess the major difference between the two decks, or the two types of decks, is that with tarot cards you get your suits, so that suit is kind of tailor-made to specific situations. Like cups is always emotions and how we deal with them and that sort of thing, whereas with an oracle deck it's an individual basis as far as the cards and what they have to say with relation to whatever situation you're asking about. So each card is different usually in an oracle deck, whereas tarot, the suits are very relative to each other. They relate to each other in a certain way. So another method of divination is crystal gazing, also known as scrying. When you use a crystal ball, a bowl of inked water, or a scrying mirror, that's usually how you do it. You gaze into that object, and I've heard people say they see images, or they see certain shapes, or they see just different varying things. Or sometimes I had somebody tell me that once they were scrying and they actually heard words in their head. So yeah. Dowsing is another one. Divination by the use of pendulum, which I have here. Little pendulum that I made. But it can be used with, or you can use a pendulum to do it, fork sticks, metal rod. This type of divination is typically really, really good for yes or no questions. Let's see here, what else? Numerology is another one. That's a pretty popular method of divination, is numerology, and that's the use of numbers and calculations of those numbers. Anything from your birthday to dream analysis can be kind of used as far as numerology is concerned. Palmistry, that's reading of the palm, the lines of the palm. So it's, of course, divination based on the study of the lines and symbols on the hands. Runes, which I just so happen to have some here. Let me see if I can find a good one. These are kind of used, so some of the symbols have been rubbed off of them. Let's see if I can find a nice clear one. Oh, that's a good one. Runes, rune symbols. And runes is the method of using runes is the use of stones or ceramic squares inscribed with magical alphabets of Germanic, Scandinavian, or Norse symbols. Excellent for dream analysis, spells, talismans, general divination. That's another relatively popular method of divination, is using the runes. Geomancy. Okay, the use of marks on the earth. Astrological geomancy is another one, and that combines astrology with kind of reading the marks and symbols on the earth, and let's see what else. Graphology is the study of an individual's handwriting. I find that very, very interesting. It's the study of a person's style of handwriting to determine certain personality traits and habits and that sort of thing. So those are just some of the methods. And of course tarot, and that's the reading of cards with specific meanings in a specific spread usually. I lean more towards the pendulum and the tarot cards and oracle cards. I don't know too much about runes yet. I intend to learn. I also would like to get into scrying and palmistry as well, but for the time being, tarot cards and the pendulum are my methods of divination exclusively. So, and a lot of times I get questions about the tarot cards most often. And a very common question that I get is, what's your favorite spread, or what spread do you like to do? I'm kind of free form about it, especially when I'm doing it for myself. If I'm doing it for somebody else and they request a spread, then I'm no problem doing a spread. I don't mind that at all. But what I like to do for myself, to kind of, I feel this strengthens my intuitive abilities and kind of taps into that a little bit deeper, is doing like a raw pull. And that's when I shuffle the cards, you know, thinking about what it is I want to know, and I just lay cards out as I feel fit. Sometimes it'll be one card, sometimes it'll be 10 cards. It just depends on how I'm feeling and when I feel the need to stop pulling cards. And I like to determine the cards kind of using my intuition that way. It's not so much laid out in a spread where the specific placement of those cards represents something in particular. It's more diving a little bit deeper into your ability to connect with your higher self and kind of determine what those cards are without having that predetermined position that they're in. So I kind of like that. I have been using a pendulum since I was 5-6 years old. My mother had given me a pendulum and it was just the light of my life. I have always really been drawn to the pendulum, and it's always something that I really enjoyed doing, and it's still something that I get very giddy about to this day when I do a pendulum reading. I always get goosebumps. I just have a really good time when I use my pendulum. And I like to use my pendulum for yes or no questions, of course, but I also will use the pendulum for pregnancy readings. I get a lot of pregnancy readings, and people asking if it's going to be a boy or a girl, when is it going to happen, what astrological sign are they going to be, that sort of deal. And I have made a pendulum board for myself, and I don't have it over here, but and it's kind of it's very well used. Let's just put it that way. It's just very well used. But I made my own pendulum board and my own pendulum, and with the particular markings, earth, air, fire, water, winter, spring, summer, fall, boy or girl, yes, no, maybe, that type of deal, to because I feel like I've gotten some pretty amazing reads from my pendulum board using my pendulum that way, as far as like pregnancy readings and that sort of thing. But I also use my cards for that sort of thing too. The cards are more for, I feel anyway, this is my personal opinion. You don't have to listen to me. It's not like set in stone or like it has to be that way. But I use the cards for the same reason. But I mean, the cards are more multi-purpose. The cards are more, they can do yes or no. They can do specific questions. They can do general life readings. They are just kind of all-encompassing. And so I tend to lean more towards the tarot card aspect of things as far as when I read for other people. Love is another one that I get all the time. Not that I mind. I'm not complaining. I enjoy doing love readings. I connect very strongly to the emotional aspect, so I do not mind doing those. But yeah, the tarot cards are really good for just kind of multi-use. And also another great thing about the tarot cards, really divination in general, is that the tools that you use for divination can be used in other ways as well, not just for divination, but like the tarot cards, you can use tarot cards for meditation. Sit there and spend time with a card that you feel very connected to at that point in your life. Sit there and meditate with that card. Or I have heard and also taken part in using tarot cards for spell work, having specific cards laid out for your intent. That way it's kind of, it's almost, you're putting your intention mentally into what you're doing as far as your ritual or your spell work, but you're also laying out a physical illustration of what it is you intend for that specific spell or ritual. So I really, and I've always gotten really great results from doing stuff like that. So they're kind of, like I said, they're pretty multi-purpose. I mean, as far as what you can use them for, it's not just for divination. I mean, meditation, spell work, you know, that sort of thing. You can also use them for dream work as well. That's another thing that I don't see too many people talk about very often, is dream work and using your tarot cards for that sort of thing, or your oracle cards for that sort of thing. You know, you hear about like the dream pillows and that sort of thing, but you don't ever really hear about using tarot cards or oracle cards for the same purpose. And I think it's really interesting, because the cards are so multifaceted and they have so many different meanings. They kind of cover the broad spectrum of life, and to use them in dream work, I think would be just amazing. I haven't done it yet, but it's something that I've been researching lately, and that's where you take tarot cards, or a tarot card that kind of represents what it is you want to dream about or what you're looking for on a subconscious level, and you sleep with it under your pillow. And I think that's a really, really interesting method for dream work that you do not hear too much about. So, like I said, tarot cards, multi-purpose. I kind of use them for everything. They're so specific and so general at the same time. I feel that it's very relative to life and life situations and how we deal with them, that, you know, they can be used for just about anything. The pendulum, however, I feel is a little more specific, like a yes or no question, or, you know, like I said, I use them a lot for people who are getting pregnancy readings. But yeah, and, you know, the runes, I have, like I said, I haven't gotten too far into that. I really would like to, but schedule's been crazy, so I haven't had a chance to really sit down and dive into that quite yet. But yeah, so that's kind of my video on divination and the methods that are out there, and what I use my divination tools for. Oh, there's another method of divination that I've really been researching lately, though, as well, and that is tea readings, and that's where you use. Hold on a second, I have one. Hold on. That's where you use fortune-telling teacups to read fortunes, and it comes with a little saucer that has all the little astrological signs on it. But that's something that I have been diving a little bit deeper into as of late, is tea readings. I can't remember what the official name for it is, but you fill the cup up with tea and water, you swish it around. Usually you drink the tea until it's gone and there's just the tea leaves at the bottom, or you just pour it out after you've swished it around. And you can read the tea leaves and how they come up in symbols and shapes and that sort of thing, and tell kind of future occurrences or things that are going on in the querent's life. I think that's really interesting, and I like that. And it's also something that you don't hear about too often. It's more of like I know it's very like gypsy kind of method of divination, but I've really been getting into that lately, and I think it's very interesting. But yeah, so that's another method for divination that I did not discuss at the beginning of the video. Anyway, that is my video. I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe. We're always looking forward to new subscribers, and if you ever feel the need to do a video response, feel free. We love video responses, comments. It's all welcome here. So I hope you guys have a blessed week and weekend, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Blessed be, guys.